Hi, Jade.
Hey, Matt.
Nice to see you. Nice to have you on.
Nice to see you too.
You were one of the first names I put down on the list when we started thinking about who we were going to speak to in our world, um, who I would like to hear from, who I would like to hear more about. And I think that's because with you, um, you naturally, in your own way, go about your business very quietly and very humbly. Um, but having had the opportunity to work closely with you, probably, what is it now? A year ago or so when you took on the women's
Uh,
program?
yeah, about a year and a half ish. I think it's
Is it
been.
18 months?
Yeah, about
Crikey.
that.
Um, yeah, I had the pleasure of speaking to you on a weekly basis, getting to know you really well, know what you're all about, know how much you have to offer, and all that good stuff. And I think um, it was one of the reasons why we started this pod in the first place was to create a platform for good folk in this industry to tell their story, or at least for us to hear it. Um, because I think that's important, and I think it's one of the things that's missing in the industry is a dose of reality around your experience, so that people can, I guess, attach to it, or at least liken theirs to yours in some way, shape, or form. I think we see a lot of highlight reels, we see all the good stuff that's going on, but rarely now do we see the truth behind people's stories. So that's what I would love for you or for us to uncover today is a bit of JD. Um, I don't know why I call you that, by the way. It's just stuck from the first from early doors. Oh, just a sec. I've got me ding. Did you hear that then? Did you hear that dinging?
No, I didn't hear the
All right,
dinging.
I've got messages coming through. I thought, shit, is that going on the podcast? Yeah, I don't know why I call you JD, but it's stuck in my mind. Everybody else calls you Hendo.
Yeah, I get called JD by a few people, but
Oh, do
mainly,
you?
yeah, mainly Hendo, to be fair.
Yeah, mainly Hendo. Mainly
Yeah.
Hendo. So JD or Hendo. So anyway, over to you. Let's start at the beginning of you joining March on. So day one. Um, what was in your mind? What was going through your mind at that point as you were about to embark on this journey with March on?
I think day one I was a bit like, this is crazy. Um, This is wild. I'd always had March on my radar for a few years. And to me, they were just like this really cool gym, this really cool brand that I just like followed. I was doing one of the programs before I'd joined the business. And I think when I walked through those doors on my first day and was greeted by Paddy and Zoe at the time, I was a bit like, wow, this is really real. I'm actually on that side now that I've been watching for all those years. But it was also at the time I was like a big sense of pride as well that I'd kind of
Mm.
got to that point. And it was just kind of out of purely kind of just being myself and putting myself out there and just being like, just try it. Because it's been on my radar. And then when the opportunity came along, I was very much like, full of a lot of self-doubt, a bit like, oh God, I don't think I can do this. And I had a lot of people around me being like, just try it. Just try it.
Was
You
it was,
never know.
was that was that were those feelings of self-doubt once you'd got the nod?
No, it was before I'd done the whole interview process. But once I got
Okay.
the nod, I was a bit like, okay, I'm doing something right here. I'm on the right track. And like this is the opportunity that I really wanted to to get. And I was just very, very grateful for it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. What was in that then, having watched on for a little while, probably got a sense of what it was all about and what have you. What's is there anything that's been in there that wasn't as you expected or has that surprised you?
Um, I think at the time, I think when I first joined Stratford, we didn't have like our own like gym's Instagram or Stratford Instagram or anything like that. So I didn't really see a ton of what happened in the gyms.
Mm.
So, and I knew there was like an online community and I knew that was a very big thing, but I didn't know tons about like, obviously I knew what the coaching product was, but I didn't realize how community based the gyms are and like how much they thrive off of that. I came from a one-to-one background, which was, although I was in a big gym, the community wasn't really a big thing. And I soon realized that like the gyms thrive off of the welcoming community that they have and the friendships that are formed there. Um, and I think that that was something that I didn't really realize going into it. And I was just like, this is so cool to see. And to have that be like one of your main drivers, is really cool.
We spoke a little bit before we started and press record. We are just catching up on the gyms and what's been happening. And you explained the wonderful scenario of the gym community that you've created at Stratford, 3 years in now, um, and what is a well-established community, and we can all see that and feel it through the socials. Um, I guess that's a change then, from what you previously experienced in the one-to-one setting. How has that shaped you then? How has that shaped you as a coach differently to what you were beforehand?
I think it's kind of made my like perception on like coaching and training kind of change in a way. I think like old old Hendo would have been like, people just come to the gym to get jacked, get fit and hit these certain goals, which obviously people still do. And I think a lot of people still come to us and they're like, I want to lose X amount of weight and I've got a high rocks to train for, which is obviously what we're there for. But I think like what I've come to realize is that people stay for that community, and that's actually ultimately such an important thing. It makes people excited to train, it makes people want to keep coming back, it makes people make friends, and we have like I've got so many people that I've met recently that have like just moved to London and they don't know anybody and they've just
Mm,
thrown themselves into this environment, and like within a week they're coming to a run club or they're coming to an event or they're pairing up with the same people that they see and they make these little friendships. And I think sometimes I just step back and I'm like, actually, that's what's so important, because you don't know what someone's come from when they come into the gym. Like back in the day, I'd get frustrated if someone turns up late. My God, why are they late? That's so annoying. And then I think about it now and I'm like, you don't know what someone's life's like outside the gym. You don't know what they've come from. Like, this might be the only time in the day where they communicate with people in person because they might work from home at a desk all day and not actually have any physical human contact. And like, this might be like their most excitable hour of the day. So it's like, that's, I think, where my perception's changed in that,
mm,
like, that's actually what's most important and everything else is a byproduct of that.
mm. Yeah, that's it's a beauty. It's a beauty. Um, so I'm just hearing there that beforehand it was more sort of reps and sets, and come in, get the work done. This is how we do it, and so on and so forth. But then less thought around what happens outside. Would that be fair? Whereas
Yeah.
now it's a little bit more the other way around.
Yeah. And obviously, like
Yeah,
the reps and sets are still important, and what we coach is still incredibly important, but the other stuff also matters so much.
absolutely, absolutely. How I see it, and you know my chat on it, but um, as we talk about the reps and sets are our tools, of course, that we use to get the job done. But then why we do the job is a for me is a different kettle of fish. And I think that's what you're speaking to there is the reality that everything that we do in the gym is for life outside it, right? You just spoke about what happened at the weekend. How many people came to the little event that you did at the weekend?
I think we had 30,
Yeah,
30.
so 30 people rock up on a Saturday to run across the city. They don't need to. They can do other things on a Saturday. They come and choose to do that with you. Um, that's a special thing. That's a special thing. And that's the stuff that's beyond the reps and sets. And um, you coming in with that one-to-one experience, that coaching experience of the individual in front of you, no doubt prepared you nicely then to step into and put your arms around the community aspect, right? So you're not having to think about the reps and sets. You've learned that, and now you can go, okay, now I'm ready for the I guess the next level of experience for these people that are in front of me. Would that be fair?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say it was a really nice stepping stone, I guess, in that sense.
Mm.
to almost like go from one to the other.
Yeah, nice. You from starting, what was the just remind me of the time frame from you starting in Stratford for then to then you taking the reins of the women's program. How long was that?
Um, I started in the May, and I took the women's program in the following February.
Okay, so almost a year.
Almost a year, yeah, just under a year.
Okay. How was that for you? Because that's quite the responsibility, eh?
Yes. I think when the opportunity first came about, I was a bit like, okay, this is quite big. Um, because like I said, like I'd been on the online programs before working for the business. So I was a bit like, wow, like I get to be a face of one of these programs now. This is
Mm,
crazy. And at first I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Like that's quite a lot. Um, and it's a big responsibility. But then I kind of got to like I was thinking about it and I remember talking to Zoe about it quite a lot and Paddy were both incredibly helpful with it. And just being like, you know what, this is a really good opportunity. And if I don't take it, I might not ever get it again. And I wouldn't be offered this opportunity if those around me didn't think that I was ready for it.
mm.
And it's such a good opportunity to learn and develop and grow in that sense as well. So yeah, it was very scary at first, but I'm very, very glad that I did take it.
It was tough for you because you were taking over from Zoe,
Mm.
who'd done a bloody good job, eh? And she was moving on and moving abroad. Um, and so I imagine there was that challenge where it's like, shit, I've got some big shoes to fill here because she'd done a good job with it. Um, Interesting that she helps you with the transition. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, she was incredibly helpful. She had always said to me, she was like, I won't just drop it and run. She's like, I'm not just going to give it to you and go. Like, we sat down, we went through, because I took over it kind of towards the end, I think it was, of a training phase.
Mm,
Um, so it wasn't like it was like at the start of a brand new one. I took it over like at that point. So she sat down with me and we kind of went through like where the projection was going for that phase, and kind of talked me through everything. So yeah, I wasn't just like left to it.
mm,
And then once she had gone, obviously we used to talk a lot. You were incredibly helpful. And then also Paddy and Liam were so incredibly helpful with it as well. So yeah, I'm very grateful that I have the support around me
mm.
to help with it.
Yeah, great. And this is you being humble, and the fact that you had the skills and the level of ability to be able to do it very well as well. Don't forget that. Was the you being you, was there any point in that process where you felt out of your depth?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I first took it, I was a bit like, okay, this is this is crazy. Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're like I think sometimes I struggle to like believe that I can do it in a sense. I think sometimes
Mm,
I'll just like doubt myself. Um, and sometimes I have to really sit down and be like, no, you know what you're doing. Like you wouldn't be given this if people didn't think you could do it. Like you can do it. Just pull your socks up and believe in yourself. And also like I have to just like sometimes I'm so like get my head down and just get on with it that I forget that like obviously ask the people around me for help. If I need
mm.
help, ask someone around me. Um, but yeah, it was daunting at first.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet. You mentioned a couple of things there that it sounds like so that experience sparked some thought and some reflection for you. Was that already in you as a self-reflection piece, or was it this experience that sparked that? No, you can do it. So I guess what I'm asking is, did you learn anything new about yourself through going through that struggle?
Um, I think it kind of like that kind of reflection like sparked when I started at March On. And then it kind of like sparked again when I took the women's program. But yeah, I think I just kind of learned that like I do have the capacity to do it. And like, I love learning about that kind of stuff. And like, it's just that I shouldn't keep doubting myself. I think like at first, like, obviously I work on the online team with the likes of like Chad and Paddy and Liam, who are like incredibly incredible at their jobs and so good at the programming side of things. And they're big names within the brand. And I was just like, oh, I feel so like tiny next to them. But it's like, actually, no, like everyone started somewhere. And like, I just have to put in the hard work and believe that I can do it. Um, and like I said, not be afraid to ask for help if I am struggling because I don't know. I always just like, I guess I was always someone that used to think like, oh, like that's a stupid question. I can't ask that. Like they'll think that I don't know what I'm talking about. But actually, it's much better to do that instead of then sit there and ponder on it and then get myself worked up because I'm too scared to ask something.
Mm. Yeah. The great I think the great thing about the place we work is that that is very much ingrained in the culture. And when I say that, I mean the I guess the encouragement to ask those questions and not feel stupid is the level of curiosity and openness that we have in our world is brilliant, isn't it? And so even when you do doubt yourself and you're thinking, I think I should know that, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to ask. What I think once you've got past yourself, you do find yourself reminded of the fact that no, this is what we're encouraged to do here anyway, right?
Yeah,
Um, which is special, isn't it?
yeah, 100%. And I think that like what's also good as well is that we're not always just like given it to us on a plate in terms of like the answers. We're encouraged to think for ourselves. Um, and almost like not always given them like asked why, but it's like, well, why do you think it's like that? Well,
Mhm.
and then it's like that's good as well because then you still do have to think for yourself. You're not just given everything straight
Mm.
up. And a lot of the time when we do like our gym CPDs and stuff, it comes from open discussions and that I think is really helpful as well and like looking and hearing other people's point of views and what they think of certain things so it's never just like a one size fits all it's a think for yourself this is what this person's done and this was what this person thinks and I think that's really good about it as well.
With that in mind, what's your thing? So when it comes to coaching, what's in your mind as like what really matters?
um
I guess there's not one thing, but what are the things that come to mind when it comes to coaching? What do you hold at the highest?
I think I would say enjoyment
Mm,
over everything. Like we've said, like the reps and sets are really important and people pushing themselves hard enough to get their goals is really important. But overall enjoyment, I want someone to finish their women's session or walk out of my gym floor when I finish coaching and be like, I feel great. I had a really good time. Like that was a really good session. Um, and if someone walks out of the gym feeling like that and feeling ready to attack their day, then I know I've done my job well.
yeah. I'm just going to challenge you a little bit, just to go a bit deeper. Why do you think that's the case? Why is the enjoyment piece so important, do you think, for most people? For everybody?
Because it keeps them engaged
Mm,
and it keeps them wanting to train and move their body and get themselves fit and strong for life. I think if someone
yeah,
didn't enjoy it, they would end up resenting it and they wouldn't want to come back and there's no fun in that.
indeed, indeed. Um, yeah, I think you're right. I think it speaks to the connection to meaning, right? So if something means something to us, we tend to enjoy it more than we wouldn't. Um, I also think there's a balance in that I think a lot of the industry have gone down the enjoyment route and taken it as entertainment. And I think that goes too far
Mm.
where we end up just doing random stuff for the sake of entertainment and almost bolting things on as well, for the sake of entertainment. And I think we can have all that stuff as long as the essence and the nucleus of the whole thing remains, right? Um, because it's the essence and the nucleus of the stuff that should keep people coming back, not the surrounding what I call fluff right around the outside. So enjoyment of the actual process fosters consistency, right? And then as we know, the more people keep coming back, probably the more progress they're going to make because they're doing it, and all that good stuff. So I'm with you. Um, Fair to say that we could get lost in the other side, right? Where we get lost in the reps and sets and the detail. I had a great conversation. I always have good conversations with Paddy about this, about I guess, the art that we're talking about there with the enjoyment piece and the human connection versus the science of the granular detail.
Yeah, 100%. It can be very easy to get really caught up in those reps and sets. And I think at Stratford, we kind of almost semi got to that point where we were like really caught up on like the movement quality and the reps and sets, which is obviously so important. And across the gyms, we make sure that that is like still top of our importance list, that people are moving safely, efficiently, and as they should be. Um, and also like trying to make it like for them to learn as well, so that like they're not just coming in and mumbling along and just going home and not thinking about anything. Like we want them to learn and understand why we're doing certain things as well, which is also so important. And we program the programming that we do at the gyms to make sure that people do get the results that they get, and like we make it clear to people like why we're doing certain things and why we're doing the same session today as we did last week instead of it being
Mm,
completely randomized. And people are so bought in now, I think we find, to the programming, and we do them in 12-week phases, and we have our testing week, and we then have a deload week, we start again, and people are getting more and more bought into the like the testing weeks and the KPIs and the why we're doing things as well.
mm.
And yeah, I think we are starting to find that balance a hell of a lot better than it just being all about the reps and sets.
Yeah, yeah, great. I actually think that I actually think that you can't. Maybe some people can, and maybe I'm being too general here, but as a general idea, I think it's difficult to get a sense of the importance of the enjoyment piece and the connection piece, the art, if you haven't gone too far the other way first. I think it's a bit of a rite of passage to go this way and go, oh, hang on. I'm with all the best intentions of doing the best job I can. I'm actually losing connection with the person in front of me because now I'm in coaching detail as opposed to connection detail. And so then it's that poof, almost that challenging reality that stands in front of you of the face of the person that's looking at you going, what on earth are you talking about? I don't care. Or the face of the person that doesn't return because you've challenged them too much on getting a finite thing just right to your liking and forgot the fact that, like you said before, this person's just rushed across town from their 10-hour working day in the pissing rain. They've got here 5 minutes late, and now you're giving them a load of stick around not getting quite the right knee angle on this particular lunge pattern. Um, and at some point they're going to go, "Fuck you." I'm good for this. I'm good for this. Um, and so, yeah, I think there are lessons. There have been lessons learned, and it's the great chats that I've had with Paddy. Again, speaking to the openness and the growth mindset that exists in our world with you all. Um, Something's not quite right. You could easily stay there and batten down the hatches, right? And go, no, this is the way we do it. We focus on movement quality only, here and this, that, and the other, it being a pillar of, our education and all the rest of it, but then forgetting probably the important stuff that matters. Um, was there was there a moment for you where there was that shift, or was it just an evolution as a team?
I think it was quite an evolution as a team. I think like when like Bath was coming to open and Victoria, and it was very much like, well, Stratford's kind of like the model for those gyms, and the way you run the sessions is kind of how we're going to do it at the others. So it needs to be like bang on.
Mm,
And then I think we kind of all took a step back and we looked at like how we were coaching in the sessions, and obviously like we say, the movement quality and everything, it's really important, but the members don't need to know it in those teeny tiny details like we do. And as long as we know that, that's so important. And I think we kind of just got to the point where we looked at it and then we started making those small changes. And I actually think it was when we started making those small changes, we were like, that's what we needed. That's what was missing. Like,
Did you feel it?
Yeah, I did. And I think that like, for example, with our warm-ups, we used to just get like everyone in a line down the room and be like, you're going to do 10 of this and then wait for, and then you're going to do 10. And it was just like, then when we changed it and we were like, cool, this is what you're going to be doing in groups of three. This is your timer. Off you go, move through at your own pace. And it was like, from the minute someone walks through the door, the vibes are a lot higher, the atmosphere is a lot better, everyone's more excited, seems more excited to do their session instead of it being like, you guys are going to stand there and you're going to do what I say
Mm,
until you're warm, and then we're going to
mm,
get barbells out. And it just felt very much like almost like a collaboration between us and the members instead of a like, I'm the dictator and this is what you're going to do.
brilliant, brilliant. And in that, then they get a sense of responsibility, right? So
Yeah,
now they're getting
100%.
now they're getting treated like adults. Um,
And they can take more onus of their own training and feel like they probably feel like they have a little bit more freedom with it in a sense.
yeah,
Instead of us like drilling a down and finish with a back squat for everybody in the room, like we let them do their warm-up sets and it just feels a lot more comfortable, I think is probably a good way of saying it.
yeah, nice. The the uncomfortable thing I think for the coach and why we would double down on the detail and get everybody doing what we ask them to do is because I think it would give us a sense of certainty of the outcome, right? So it's like if you do this with me, this is going to be the thing. But in that we forget the very important piece in that we're trying to teach these people to do this for themselves at some point in the future. And so, to the very thing that we're talking about here, where as coaches, we probably have to sway the wrong way far enough to realize that it's not all about that and come back into a more middle ground. So, as do the everybody in the class, or as do all the clients, right?
Mm.
They need to figure out, okay, I now realize if I fucking fart about in my warm up, I actually don't get the best session. So I can play that I can play that card if I want, but oh shit, I've not had a good session for a couple of months. And then you're there as their coach, as their guide to go, hey bud, maybe if you did that a little better, like and listen to what I'm saying, then okay, I understand now. As opposed to if they've just switched off and just gone through the motions with you in the warm up, they never really understand what that's for. So I guess it's that guided failure piece where they become so much more, they become so much more aware through it, which is great. Was there was there an element of the women's program, it being totally removed from everybody that you're thinking of when you're writing your plans and what have you, that helped you in that process of I guess disconnecting from the detail, disconnecting from um, guiding their every movement in the gym?
Um, I think the women's program is it's different because I don't know who I'm coaching, like in terms of like I don't know the people face to face that are doing that. So like it's hard because I can give as much detail as I try with that, what with my videos and the explanation in the notes and stuff, but it's
Mm.
it's very different in that sense. Um, so and I think with someone in my mind, someone who's on one of our online programs is a little bit more kind of experienced with their training and kind of like probably cares about the detail a little bit more in that sense. Especially because they're probably most likely training on their own as well. Um, yeah, it's hard because it is different, I guess, in that
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess the thing I'm likening it to is you're offering a way to do something through the women's program, but then there has to be, well, I don't know if it's a trust or it's just a disconnection between what you offer and what they do, right?
Yeah.
But then the nice feedback loop is seeing everybody on your program move forward despite the fact that you're not there hammering their every movement.
Yeah, 100%. And like it's their responsibility to go out and put the work in and it's their responsibility to go out and move the way they do. And like my inbox is always open for the girls and I've always said to them like, if you're unsure on anything, just come to me and ask me whether that be in the locker room, whether that be via DMs. But Yeah, it's so satisfying when like I'll put a message in and be like, oh, how's testing week been? And they'll be like, oh, I smashed this or I did this, or someone will mention like, oh, the program is really good, I'm really seeing results, or someone's told me that I'm looking great or I've been hitting this weight a lot better. And it's like it is a really cool feeling.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the great thing about March on Training, the online system. It's really well done. It's really well considered. Um, the user experience is second to none as we know through the app. Um, but despite what we see out there and everything that's on offer from an online training program, March on consistently gets people to continue to progress consistently. And I think there's a lot in that. I think for the right person, for the person that is self-motivated, for the person that does want to take responsibility for their own progress, what it provides is the best guidance around because it's from coaches. So it's not just you're not writing it. You're not writing it thinking, I just want to write the best program for me. So because it says by Jade Henderson, it's like so if anybody's looking on, they can say, well, that's a good program, Jade. What you're thinking about is how's this landing for, as you say, for the girls?
A hundred
How's
percent.
this landing?
Yeah. And like I think as coaches as well with our own programs, like we're so passionate about helping the people that we don't necessarily know. And I think that like we want to provide the education to help them as much as possible as well. And I'll always be thinking when I'm programming something like, is this actually going to help that group of people that are on my program? Like, I don't want to be programming something for the sake of it because it looks cool on Instagram or it reads well for a women's program per se. Like, I'll always be trying to think about that like avatar that we have in our head for that program, um, to try and help them the best way that we can.
Yeah, nice. And an avatar that's constantly shifting, depending on who you see, who you interact with on the program.
100%.
Yeah, brilliant. Um, what's helped you trust in that, and trusting yourself in that role that's the case as opposed to because I don't know if I don't know if you've had this experience or suffered this, but a lot of coaches, me included, um, at some point through my career, a lot of what I did and what I said was for the approval of my peers. And that could easily be the case in the women's program, right? To what you said, you could write the best program, but what helps you trust that there's a higher order, there's a higher responsibility for you, and that's for the people that you're serving on the other side. Where did you get to that?
I think it's something that's just happened over time. I think when I first took the program from Zoe, I was very much like trying to follow in her footsteps as much as I could and like trying to program in exactly the same way that she did because I knew it was doing well and I knew how much the girls loved it. And then I think over time I just spent more time thinking about actually who's in the program, trying to contact a few more of the girls that would like tag in Instagram and things like that and try to think that like I need to trust that the avatar is the right person for that program and not try to change the program to meet what people think the program should be like. I think that like, you can go online and look through Instagram and look at all these female influencers training a certain way and think that like that's how it should be and that's what people want. But actually, like, I think for us now with our online programs and especially with the relaunch coming up, that we're very clear now on who our avatars are and what line the programs sit in. And I think that like once you have a clear path of that, then that gives you more confidence to know that you're doing the right thing.
Mm,
Like I say, I just didn't want to get to a point where like I'm putting stuff in to try and please Jenny on Instagram who thinks that that's what it should look like.
yeah.
Like that's not who we are at March On. Like we program a certain way because we know it gets results and we base our programming off our education and our knowledge that we have instead of trying to make something appealing for an audience because you think that that's right.
Brilliant. Well said. I hear then in your words, in your way, in your style, I hear the who plus why plus what equals how, right? Um, and the alternative that you described there being what we see normally, which is the how first, and then we're going to make that fit to everybody to the who plus what plus why. Um, and so then the reason why it becomes more obvious for you to write the program is because you've done the investigation, even though it's on an avatar, right? So it's on a data set. You've not necessarily it's a it's actually a group of people that you've sort of come to this average person that's on your program, but you feel like you know them. You immerse yourself in their world. Like, what does this person want? How does this person want to feel? Right, which is a biggie, especially in the women's program. Um, so into that, then that's just sparked a thought in my mind. How would those people that you coach? So I guess this crosses over in person and then online. How would you like the people that you coach and you work with and service? How would you like them to feel?
I'd like them to feel good about themselves, like they are comfortable training in the gym, whether they're online or like on their own or with somebody. And I'd like them to feel like they're getting something from their training, like they're working towards their goals and they know how they're going to get there. I want someone to feel like that there is a sort of a roadmap for them. It's you don't I don't particularly want someone to just be like if they want to just bumble through it and just turn up, do it, go home, whatever, that's fine. But ultimately I'd love someone to feel like they're learning something, they've got a clear path of what's going on and they feel good about it at the same time and they feel confident when they're in the gym.
Lovely, lovely. How do you do that through the women's program? That's a difficult question to answer, but how do you move towards that if you've got that thought in your mind?
It's harder, it's so much harder on the women's program because like I say,
Mm,
like if I've got a couple of hundred people, if I've got a couple of hundred girls that do the program, I don't know all of them. I don't know who they are, but
mm,
the best way I can do that is by giving them the tools for it and making sure that like, the education is there should they need it. They know that my help is there should they need it. And that I feel like I'm an approachable person. Like someone shouldn't be worried to ask me for help on the program.
mm.
And also kind of map out the path so they know where they're going. Like, within the app, they can see the KPIs, they can see where the program's going, so that they know what's happening. So it's not just because obviously within the app, the program's released week on week essentially, and like they like to know what's coming up and where it's going and how many weeks the phase is and stuff, so that
Yeah,
they've got
lovely.
a clear path of where they're going.
Yeah, lovely. Um, to that point, uh, to your own progress and your own journey, what's pulling you forward right now?
Um, I think just like everything we spoke about in a sense of like the pride of seeing the community grow. I think for me, like within the gym, it's like I get such a kick out of like seeing the community grow and like, taking members to competitions and events and like getting everyone together and seeing their progress and stepping back and being like, wow, we really did that. That's really cool. Like that's what keeps me pushing there. And then I think with like the online stuff, the constant development of what we're doing and trying to make it better and bigger and just the best we can. I think just reminding myself that like I have such a very cool opportunity and that like I can really push that and that like yeah, I have so much room still to go to grow and like there's so much more still to come, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely there is. Um, I hope that you acknowledge the growth as well. Um, in such a short space of time. I think the nicest thing for me to see looking on from the outside with what's happening at Stratford is probably more so for you and D is that you are very much yourselves now. I think that's lovely. The reason I leave Liam out of that a little bit is because he came in with a lot more experience, and I think he had, and as well he'd coached in that scenario before, in that group scenario. So I think he knew himself in that role anyway. And Liam's got his own challenges with the other things that he's taken on and what have you. But I think on the gym floor is more of his, probably his comfort zone, right? So he was already there. Well, I think it's really nice to see yours and Dee's personalities and identities sort of really influencing that community. It's really lovely to see. It's really lovely to see. Um, Off the back of that, then you mentioned growth. You mentioned room to progress and what have you. What is on your agenda? What can you see in the immediate future of things that you would like to learn more about, grow into, that sort of stuff?
Um, I think I just, like you say, like I've come such a long way in the 2.5 years that I've been with the company, um, and changed so much in such a good way. I think in the immediate future, I think to just keep pushing the way that I have been. I think that like when Paddy moved to Victoria and Liam stepped up into Paddy's role, I think that like I've just continued to try and push myself as much as I can in a sense of like helping as much as I can at Stratford and helping out Liam as much as I can in that role. Um, so I think just continuing to like learn in that sense and keep pushing hard to help grow the gym and give the members the best experience they can. And then with the online stuff, I think to just continue to develop the women's program with each phase and try and make it the best I can and get more girls in the program.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Do you ever see yourself as a in Liam's shoes?
I mean, I'd never say never.
Why not? Like you say, I think naturally, the reason you're here, the reason not on this podcast, the reason you're in March on, the reason um you've done so well, I think, speaks to not just the ambition in you, but also um you mentioned it, you kept mentioning it then in that little piece that you said, do it better, be better, so on and so forth. It's that, seeing the growth that you've got inside you. And so naturally that's going to take you somewhere. So maybe, yeah, maybe lean into it. Maybe lean
Who
into it.
knows?
Again,
Who knows what will
yeah, who knows? Who knows?
happen.
Right, cool. Let's leave that there. Thanks, JD.
Thank you very much, Mass.